I want to show you this video. This is an attempted arson this week at the personal office of a Republican Washington state representative. So you see there's two guys, one comes up, bashes in the window, I mean very meekly, I should add, and then the other one comes in and throws a flare through it. Now, thankfully, that flare just hit solid ground. There was nothing to catch on fire, so no one was injured. The building wasn't burned down. Joining us is the man who was targeted by that, what I'll call an attempted arson, Washington State Representative Andrew Barkis. This happened on your birthday?
It did.
Oh my
Yes, my birthday
God.
was Monday, 54 years old. It was quite the birthday present, and we'll talk more about it. But the more I think about it, I don't quite think it was coincidence that was on my birthday. But it was a shock. I was actually in Nevada with some friends playing in a charity golf tournament that I do every year, and kind of a birthday weekend, and received a call at 8 o'clock in the morning to give me the news, and it just went from there. It's just been crazy.
So let's get a couple things out of the way. This is your personal business office.
Correct.
However, it also houses a political component. So talk about that.
Sure. This is my corporate office for my company, Hometown Property Management. We manage single family homes. I've been here in Olympia for 15 years, been in this community for almost 30, and in business here. So very well known, very known entity. I also lease an office space here in my building to the House Republican Organizing Committee. I'm the co-chair of that. That's our political arm of our the House Representatives in the Republican caucus. So that's where we manage our campaigns and fundraising and candidates and my seatmate JT Wilcox, and then we have a staff member who is here permanently, and so it's our political office is located here.
Okay, let's just get a couple things out of the way because we're going to talk about the potential, obviously, that this is politically motivated. I think that's the first thing that popped into my mind. I'm sure it's the first thing that popped into your mind. You doing any shady business dealings? You got any perturbed business partners who would do this?
No, Brandy, anytime something like this happens, and this has never happened to me. Yeah, I mean, ever. You go through the list, right? You start to think about it. Now, I'm in property management. It's not unusual to have tenants that don't like me and like my company. And, we've had vandalism during the pandemic, the eviction moratorium. My building was tagged, rent strike, rent control now, things like that. I've had a window broken with a rock. We have quite a few of the Olympia's homeless going through the alley. And, I've had just petty stuff. Never anybody, trying to burn my building down. And I can't think of a tenant to be that upset. And we racked our brains thinking, is anything recently? No. I mean, the worst thing that happens is tenants get upset. They go onto Google or Yelp and they write a bad review. That's the extent of it. So I don't think this has anything to do with my business. I don't think it has really anything to do with the property management aspect. I think this is politically, it has to be politically motivated because people know who I am. They know what I do. I've been all over the news, I've been with you, other people. They know my stands. And this, as you have been talking about, this is a highly charged political environment right now on so many levels.
Yeah, and I will say I personally got a little bit nervous because I had posted a speech that I gave, the text of a speech I gave that you were there for, and I talked about you during the speech, and I talked about you owning a property management company. I had just posted the text of it. I'm hoping that's not what set somebody off to say, oh, let's find his property management company and do something to it. But even I was like, gosh, did I put something out there that got him targeted? The Olympia Police Department is contending that the same two people who did this to your office went on to burglarize a antique store about 20 minutes later. And there's this suggestion floating around that perhaps the attempted arson on your office was a distraction to be able to get away with stealing from this antique shop. Is that a possibility?
Well, there's always a possibility. People do weird things, but I've played this through my head now for the last 2 days. I even woke up this morning thinking more about it. When I drove into work, I drove by that antique store and I looked at the buildings on the way between there and my office. Brandy, there's no way that somebody, in my mind, is going to burn down, a federal arson, right? Burn down a building to go rob an antique store. And even if that antique store had old, gold jewelry and coins and things, between my building and there are number of what I would consider soft targets, easy targets. A dumpster fire in the back of a grocery store. There's taverns, there's homeless camps, there's all sorts of things that could be used without creating additional risk for the perpetrators, but also creating a good distraction to get the fire department. We have homeless campfires almost daily. I mean, they happen all the time, right? A couple blocks away from there is a homeless camp. It catches fire. The police, the fire department, everybody runs there. You do your burglary. Randy, this was planned. These people, if you've watched the video, they had a plan. One person, they knew that they had to break this window with a tool to break safety glass. The other guy comes up, throws a flare. No, I'm sorry. Maybe they are the same people. Maybe they decided, hey, let's do this and let's go rob this store because it's the reverse. The burglary maybe is a distraction.
I tend to agree with you, Representative. It doesn't make sense to me if you want to get away with robbing an antique store to burn down an entire building. You don't know if somebody's inside. What if you kill somebody?
Right.
I'll also say, and I'm watching this video right now, there's a couple things that strike me about it, and let's just discuss it. My first thought when I just read that this had happened to is, oh, it's like anarchists, right? People are going to be, I've seen anarchists go try to, commit arson against police precincts, against the police union in Seattle. When you watch the video, they don't look like anarchists to me. They're not young, wearing black. You've kind of got that look. These are like, first of all, the most uncoordinated arsonists I've ever seen. It looks like they've never committed a crime before. I mean, the guy that comes up is just bumbling, trying to hit the thing with the hammer. And then the other guy comes up. They're both wearing like dad shoes. They've got beer bellies. The other guy comes up and tries to throw a flare in. He's burning himself. And that also makes me question, okay, these don't look like criminal masterminds. When you watch it, what strikes you about the two men?
Well, we're looking at that video very carefully, and one of them in particular we're looking at because he does look like somebody that has been known to do these type of things.
You think so? But do these two guys look like they've ever done this before? I mean, look at that first guy swinging the hammer.
Well, I think that some of the comments on the posts have been pretty funny about that, but it's not funny.
It's not funny.
I think there's a couple things. Yeah, that's like 3/4 inch safety glass. I mean, we put in those because those windows have been broken. By law, you have to have certain glass by a door. It's tempered. You can't just break that with a tap. You have to really hit that hard. So yeah, he's struggling to hit that. To break that. I mean, it's not an easy thing to do. The other guy, yeah, he's bumbling because when you light a flare, it's phosphorus. It goes off. Typically when you light it, you set it on the ground. You're not attempting to throw the thing. So it's going all over the place. So, there's the adrenaline, there's all the things that are happening while they're trying to do this. I imagine that plays into it. Now, I don't know what a typical, anarchist or criminal looks like. Some of the people I saw in the peaceful protests that happened throughout our cities.
You can call it a riot on my show, Andrew.
Absolutely look like these guys. I mean, they're got their backpacks, their skateboards, and they're doing stuff and they're smashing windows. I mean, half of them don't have any clue what they're doing, right? So whether they've done this before or not, you can tell that it was absolutely premeditated. I mean, they had to know, Brandy, to have a tool to break that glass. They had to know, hey, this is safety glass. It's not just going to be a tap, shatter, or a hammer or whatever. They had to have a route to get out of there. They cased the building. They planned this out. They looked at it. They knew there was a camera. They saw it up on the side, but they didn't know that there was one sitting in the window. The one up there is not, it's old. This one's the new one. So they were looking up there, kind of covering, but they, turned towards the other camera. So I don't know. I mean, criminals are dumb, right? I mean, in general. But I don't think, if you have the intent to burn a building down, you're not I mean, you're stupid. Right. But yet you're not, you're a criminal. You're like you said, my son works for my company, and he comes in on Mondays, usually around 5, to do the cleaning for a little extra cash, right? He could have gotten in early. He could have been down in the basement with his headphones on, vacuuming or something, and the building burns down. I mean, who knows?
Yeah. And I'm so glad that you guys are okay, that everyone who works there is okay. And I don't disagree with you. It's obviously targeted. They have a plan. You've got the one guy comes up first, breaks the window, the other guy follows with the flare, and however uncoordinated they may seem, it's clearly intentional. I also agree with you that it doesn't make sense. A flare could take forever to start a fire. Luckily, this fell on a hard surface and it didn't start one. It doesn't make sense as a distraction for me. So I hope that police get to the bottom of it. I'm assuming you've been in contact with them.
Yeah, and I was thinking about that too, Brandy. When you look at the guy drop the flare, he obviously recognizes as he's putting it through the broken glass, right? He obviously, when he watches it, and he's like pauses because it hits the wrong way. There was 2 chairs and a little desk there. It literally, when you look at the floor, 4 inches to the right, that thing is aimed right at that desk and that chair, and those flares burn for 20 minutes, right? So it's going to light that. Gone, building's gone.
Yeah.
So I think he pauses a little bit because, like, damn, it hit the floor, and they probably didn't know that it was tile. There was a rug there, just missed that rug too. It is literally by the grace of God that it didn't do that. But to your other point, if I'm going to do that, I'm thinking through. I'm going to go up the street. I'm going to wait, right? I'm not going to immediately go up and rob this antique store 15 minutes later if I don't know that building's fully engulfed. I'm going to wait to at least make sure that our job has been done and the building's on fire and there's smoke and everything else. Now I'm going to go because somebody's going to notice it. But at 4:15 in the morning, who's going to notice this? My building would have to be fully engulfed, smoke, flames coming out the ceiling before somebody driving by or whatever noticed it. That could be as long as 20, 30, 45 minutes before it's fully involved.
And to be clear, you guys did not know about this right away. So there was no police response to your building when the antique store was robbed?
No, we have an alarm system, and there is a sensor, and for whatever reason, great timing, right? The sensor did not pick up the glass shattering across the room and the flare coming in. That should have tripped the alarm, which would have, they respond quickly. They call us. We get false alarms all the time. And we say, yes, send out a response. And then they go there and they check the building out. Obviously, they would have seen a flare in there, right? And then called the appropriate people. That didn't happen. Now, these guys don't know if I've got an alarm. They probably assume there are stickers on the windows and stuff. And if they've cased the building, they're probably thinking, okay, this is going to prompt a response so that somebody's going to be there. But a fire takes a bit to get going.
Yeah.
So all these things don't add up. I think from an Olympia PD standpoint, nothing better than to have a nice bow wrapped around distraction and antique store robbery, not politically motivated. Put the shoe on the other foot, Brandy. Say this is the Democrat headquarters just a couple blocks down from here, and this happens. Are we doing that? Are we thinking that way? I don't think so. I think that there's that double standard, right? If this was on, somebody attacking it, it would be all over, right wing, extreme, blah, 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 trying to burn down the Democrat committee office building down the street.
If you like this video, make sure to become an Undivided subscriber to help us grow this mission to give common sense a comeback. You can do that in 2 ways, at patreon.com/undivided, or by becoming a contributor on my Locals community, brandycruz.locals.com. Thank you to the founding sponsor of Undivided, 1530 Mortgage. Visit them at 1530mortgage.com.